This is probably my favorite part, not just because
So
I'm a girl and I like clothes.
this is the bonus round. This is just some basics you'll want to have around camp. Um, so just like any kind of colder weather, you're gonna want some gloves. For fall, like some thin gloves is probably fine. And winter, we got thicker gloves. These have wool liners. They're leather. There's everything in between. Mittens, anything to keep your hands warm.
Yep.
And another option is don't laugh. So these are wool liners, basically. Um, it, long johns would be an older term, but these are just wool pants you wear under your normal pants, and that helps keep you warmer. I find that typically I'll just sleep in these. And then when you are sleeping, you want wool socks. These are a lighter wool sock. These are a thicker, looser wool sock with insulation. Loose is better.
You don't want skin tight. You don't want stuff that's
Yeah,
going to cling to you. You don't want shapewear, like.
You need to have blood flow, and anything that's too tight is going to restrict blood flow.
Yeah.
So these are a good option to sleep in. Another option here, we have a hoodie that you definitely want. It's kind of a mid layer.
This is my preferred thing. I love to sleep in a hoodie.
For cooler weather, hoodies are great. Everyone knows this, but the bonus tip is hoodies are actually useful at night when you're sleeping. If your feet get cold and you put them around the end of your sleeping bag or top quilt, that adds that extra insulation. So you kind of like take it off and you put it around your feet, and that will help you get a good night's sleep.
And if you are not blessed with an enormous head of hair, definitely want to have a hat.
Yeah.
Something to keep your ears warm.
That's also helpful to sleep in the hat.
Yep. Or if you pull your hood up. Definitely, if you're going to invest in any one piece, I personally would recommend getting some good socks of some kind, because if you think about it, your feet are furthest from your heart and your major organs, so it's easy to kind of tuck your hands in and keep your hands warm if your hands get cold, but most of us cannot put our feet under our armpits to keep them warm, so you really want to keep
and
your
usually
feet warm.
Your friend's not going to want you
yeah
feet in the face.
Yeah. So definitely, if you make one good purchase, I would recommend getting at least one good pair of dry socks that you can sleep in overnight.
And wool is best.
Wool is best.
It's always been best. It's still the best.
Yep.
Wool retains its thermal rating when it's wet.
Yep.
It's 80%.
Yep.
Most everything else either makes you colder or just loses all insulation.
Yeah, and if you have a pair of like really comfy favorite socks that you like to wear and you want to put your wool socks over it, that's probably okay, as long as it again doesn't restrict that blood flow and makes it so your blood can still get down to your toes and that kind of stuff. And that'll just help you stay comfortable. You're not going to die if you have cold feet, but let's be honest, nobody really likes cold feet.
Yeah, and it's this time of year, it's not going to be so cold you'll get frostbite, but it's definitely going to keep you from sleeping.
Yeah.
And cotton robs your body of warmth when it gets wet. Most synthetics just don't work as well. They dry quick, but wool will actually retain its thermal rating. So wool is your best friend.
And layers are really good, especially if you don't know the environment you're going to sleep in. You can always take things off if you get too warm, and you can always layer up if you're not warm enough. So
I have like a wool t-shirt, a synthetic hoodie,
long wool pants.
Then you might put a windbreaker over that or another jacket. You've got again your layering. You've got the thermal underwear. You've got your pants. That's probably good enough for this time of year. But the main thing is when you're sleeping, you can always get cooler. You can't get warmer. So you can always drop your insulation down. You can open it up. You can unzip your sleeping bag a little bit.
You can take your hat off.
Take your hat off. But you can't get warmer once you're cold. Like if your sleeping bag and your gear's not good enough, then you're not going to sleep. And so we're trying to help anyone who doesn't really understand cold weather camping if they haven't done it before.
Or just you're curious.
Make sure you have the right gear, and make sure if you have any questions just to ask. And definitely with the clothing, layer up, because if you have to, you can sleep in your layers, and that's going to help.